AWS Resources to Scan EC2 instances. Prerequisites: IAM role with permissions. AWS CLI installed. Use cases: vulnerability scanning, compliance auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon Inspector. USE third-party tools. Network restrictions. Configure security groups. Agent installation. USE agentless scanning. ECR repositories. Prerequisites: ECR repository created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: vulnerability scanning, image analysis. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon Inspector. USE third-party tools. Image size. Optimize image size. Image layers. USE multi-stage builds. S3 buckets. Prerequisites: S3 bucket created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: data leakage prevention, compliance auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon Macie. USE third-party tools. Data sensitivity. Implement data encryption. Access control. Use bucket policies. Lambda functions. Prerequisites: Lambda function created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: code vulnerability scanning, runtime analysis. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon Inspector. USE third-party tools. Function dependencies. Use dependency scanning tools. Runtime environment. Use container scanning tools. RDS instances. Prerequisites: RDS instance created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: database vulnerability scanning, configuration auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon RDS Security Scanner. USE third-party tools. Database access control. Use database firewall. Database configuration. Use database audit logging. EKS clusters. Prerequisites: EKS cluster created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: cluster configuration auditing, pod vulnerability scanning. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon EKS Security Scanner. USE third-party tools. Kubernetes configuration. Use Kubernetes security best practices. Pod security context. UAC pod security policies. DynamoDB tables. Prerequisites: DynamoDB table created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: data access control auditing, data encryption auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use AWS CloudTrail. USE third-party tools. Data sensitivity. Implement data encryption. Access control. Usable access control. CloudFront distributions. Prerequisites: CloudFront distribution created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: content security policy auditing, origin security auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use AWS CloudFront logging. USE third-party tools. Content security policy. Implement content security policy. Origin security. Use origin access identity. API gateway. Prerequisites: API gateway API created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: API security auditing, API performance monitoring. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use Amazon CloudWatch. USE third-party tools. API authentication. Implement API authentication. API throttling. Configure throttling limits. Cognitious pools. Prerequisites: Cognitious pool created. IAM role with permissions. Use cases: user authentication auditing, user data privacy auditing. Steps: use AWS Security Hub. Use AWS CloudTrail. USE third-party tools. User password security. Implement password complexity requirements. User data storage. Use data encryption at rest.